Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vakpranaschakshushrotramatho Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarot Anirakaranamastvanirakaranam me astu Tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu dharmas te mai santo Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So looking at the witness, okay, I will start with your point. If I am in the witness state, then likes and dislikes will drop away or some such, okay. That's not correct. Why? Because as witness we accommodate everything. Whenever the word witness is used, it's not like eyewitness, okay, where you play a role and after some time you stop witnessing. So Swamiji would have explained that knowing the truth of yourself is not a state. Not like water turned to water vapor and then at some point in time it was ice and so on. Nothing of that sort. Forever the witness, that is what you really are. And when we use the word witness, Sakshi, it is a relational word. In fact, all words are relational. Sakshi is only with respect to Sakshyam. If there is something to witness, so consciousness gets the name Sakshi. Why? Because I look at my thoughts, they are an object of my awareness. I look at my emotions, they are an object of awareness. I look at my doshas, defects, they are an object of my awareness. I look at others' doshas, they are an object of my awareness. Okay, I want to do something about the dosha, they are an object of my awareness. So it's really like saying the sun shines. The word shines is a verb form. Okay, so the sun, I sing, I dance, the sun shines. I sing, I dance, it is a verb. Okay, there is an action involved. When we say the sun shines, really there is no action involved. Why? Because that is the sun's very nature. What shines is the sun, right? How do you define the sun? It shines. Can you say no, the sun, after some time, like on 22nd June, is it possible the sun gets really tired shining? Everybody is doing Surya Namaskar on 21st June because of International Yoga Day. Okay, I am blessing everyone all across the world and across other planets also. Bas ho gaya, main thak gaya, enough. I don't want to shine anymore. No. Ever shining. So you are ever the witness in the sense that you are ever the consciousness, and in you defects are there, forms are there. Defect means what? It is just one tiny little thing, okay? It's a certain pattern, that's all. A thought is there. You accommodate each and every thought. So there is no state called the witness state. With respect to Sakshyam, you are the Sakshi. We are using the word witness. But understand the witness as that in whose presence everything is known. So Nyapti Swarupaha, that which is the very, that which is knowledge itself. Okay, where knowledge is an ontological word. Knowledge means being. There cannot be being without knowledge. Knowledge is being, when it is used in the Vedanta sense. Okay, so now nothing is opposed to me. You know, if I am identified with the body mind, then coronavirus is opposed to me. I don't want to get it, and so on and so forth. Dosha that is there, it seems to cloud my being, my way of relating, seems to cloud. See, you know, sociopaths, psychopaths may be absolutely comfortable with the doshas they have, and at a very intense level. But most of us, we are uncomfortable with it because we are not in charge. The pattern takes over. But as consciousness, you are aware, you accommodate each and every pattern. So nothing is opposed to you. You know, this is very important to understand. Even if you, even if you use the word Ananda, Ananda is not opposed to any emotion. That which is the limitless. You know, if you truly understand Ananta, then everything is accommodated in that. Right? So continuing with Dosha Parihara Ashtakam, we did 4 verses so far, and he continues giving 1 or 2 examples, nice ones actually. So we look at the verse 5. Dosham parasya nanu grinhati mayanena swatmaisha eva paragatra samaritena durvastu neva malini kriyate tadanyat doshagrahat kim na nivartitavyam. Parasya dosham grinhati mai. In other words, I don't have adhikaritvam because I'm always dwelling on other people's doshas. And parasya dosham, other people's dosham, grinhati, I grasp it immediately. Then what happens because of that? Anena swatma eva malini kriyate. My Antakaranam, inner instrument, in other words, mind, is made dirty. Why dirty? You know, of course that person has to improve his behavior. So rude. How is that? You know, who can excuse this kind of behavior? Terrible behavior. And I dwell on that. And then what happens because of it? So, the example that is given is, just as one's body, so paragatra samaritena durvastuna eva. So you know, if you have traveled in a Mumbai local, then you know what it means to have all kinds of exchange, including sweat exchange. Okay, so here he's referring to durvastuna. So durvastu is what? The impurities of another's body, in other words, sweat and so on. So you wanted the experience of a Mumbai local, first time in Mumbai. What do? Then everybody says, no, don't travel alone. Okay, I will take somebody along. Then you cannot really go in or get out. You have to only position yourself, you will reach. Okay, so first of all, you have to learn how to jump. And then when you are inside, you have to position yourself properly, you will be pushed out, no problem. And as you are pushed out, Of course, you have exchanged your sweat and lots of other things. Okay, durvastu paragatra samaritena. So this malini kriyate. Okay, you took a bath because you are going to Siddhi Vinayak temple, and obviously, okay, you did some rituals as well, and you're very happy you're going, but you stay really far away, let's say in Virar. So now you say, okay, you know, walking also, maybe I will skip this idea, I have to go by train. So that's what you did. But now what has happened is, because of your very close proximity to everyone else, you don't feel fresh enough now to go to the temple. And this tendency I have seen a lot amongst activists, you know. So in you know, when I used to work with street children, and we would attend a lot of advocacy meetings, we had our own advocacy strategy and so on for the rights of street children. There was one bunch that would go hammer and tongs against the government. Anything the government does is a problem. Okay. Then ours was a more balanced stand, in the sense that if they did actions that were worthy of appreciation, in the sense that they were basically just doing their duty, okay, but we took the position that we will highlight these things, that when children are traveling on railway stations, that you know, this particular constable, he reached out to this boy, and he befriended him, and he also took him to the shelter home. It is by law, that's what he's supposed to do. But you know, for them, you know what their rationale was: we are here to fight crime, we are not here to do social service. This is your job as an NGO or whatever social work that you guys are doing, you do this. But actually, as a part of social policing, it is also a part of their job. So some people, you know, take the position of naming and shaming, okay, that you know, the government and then this Department of Women and Child Welfare is useless, and so on and so forth. And then of course some people would have a balanced approach. They will talk about what is not getting done and also talking about what is getting done. So then we had little more entry into certain departments, okay. Now what I found, because you know, one would meet all these people at different conferences and work on certain policy papers and things like that, the ones who always focused on what wrong the department is doing, the police is doing, this, that, the other, all the different stakeholders, okay. So the coolie, and then because this was, you know, children who are runaway and abandoned, who live on railway stations, okay, used to be a big phenomena once upon a time, not so much now, thankfully. So all these stakeholders, the coolies, then the ticket collectors, because they are the first ones to spot, then the pimps, the prostitutes, the elder boys, the guys who sell, you know, who purchase the rags from the different rag pickers. So many stakeholders, we would try to work with all of them, because they all have a stake in the child's life, okay. But what I found, you know, after you know, even a few years, is that some people, some of the social workers, very bitter, very angry, and they get angry about everything. It all started, and it started well, that of course the government is accountable, you know, it's their job and so on and so forth. That was great, okay. So where it's due, you have to mention it, you have to challenge the status quo and so on, you challenge the establishment, no problem with that. But if that becomes one's default setting, always finding fault, because You know, even this NGO, the word also, look at how it has come about. Non-governmental organization who works with the government now. Okay. So it's not like it, at that point in time, whenever that word came about, it was as though opposed to the government, as though. So now, lot of these activists, you know, when we would just generally chit chat, they would say, how come you're doing okay? Because I am having burnout. This is too much. I cannot handle this. I think I'm going to quit this work. And I would always tell them that, you know, unless you have a spiritual foundation, you cannot handle this, because you've not only taken on your own problems, okay, in life, you've taken on a really big issue. And every day there is an experience of helplessness. Why? Because change at a social level takes a long time. Change, we all know, okay, change in one habit, how long it takes. So here we are talking about change at different levels, change with different stakeholders, working through resistance and so on and so forth. And then we are, you know, when we would talk, they would say, no, it's just too much. There is burnout. Why? I can't handle this. And the reason there was that burnout is that you are only focused on what is not happening. There is no focus on what is happening. There is no focus on gunas. There is only focus on dosha. So you started out pointing something that was not right, but then you got so deeply affected by it that now nothing's okay with you. You know, the person that you're accusing of always being angry and abusing the child and so on, you're doing the same thing with your own children at home. There were lots of people, I mean, I know a couple of social workers who said that we started snapping at everyone at home because the frustration really got to us, that whatever we are doing, wherever we are doing all these attempts we are making, nothing seems to work, etc., etc. So what he's pointing out is that whatever your mind dwells on, in time you become like that. And we know this, okay, this I don't know if Swamiji spoke about it, this vritti vyapti, phala vyapti, did he talk about vritti vyapti? No, okay. Anyway, very simply put, how do I know that this exists? Okay, the model that is used in the Shastra to explain, which is true, is for me to know that this object is, you know, for me to see it, the mind as though goes out, encloses the form of this object. Okay, so that is what is called vritti vyapti. Vyapti means it pervades, vritti is a thought. So for me to recognize, okay, this is a phone, the mind goes out, encloses the object, and some recognition takes place, right? Because otherwise, look at it, there is of course a theory of perception, you know, which is spoken of in terms of light and so on, and one object is sitting somewhere, you are here, how will you know what that is? You say, no, my eyes see it. No, your eyes may see it, but how do you recognize it? Oh, the mind is behind the eyes. No, but still, if the mind is behind the eyes, it's not doing anything, let it not do anything. The eyes are seeing it, you're saying. But what you call this coordination between the mind and the eye, actually, you know, from our model standpoint, and I'm sure modern science will at some point in time see the truth of this, that the mind as though goes out and closes, so that is vritti vyapti, it fully pervades the object. Okay, then what? Then I say, that's a phone. Phala vyapti. Now I have identified, I have recognized, clear. Okay. Now when the knowledge of Brahman is being unfolded, are you seeing Brahman as an object of your knowledge? Yeah, there is a word, and your mind goes and encloses that word. I know what Brahman is. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Okay, that's familiarity with the words. Very good. We made a start. Then that Brahman is me. That Brahman is me. So now that is, in this second operation, we would have thought, this Brahman is me. That is what we refer to as akhandakara vritti. Why? Because in saying or in seeing that Brahman is me, I am that limitless reality, can the thought actually pervade the object? Because anyway, Brahman is not an object. So it's a resolving vritti. Tadakara vritti. Akhanda meaning no divisions. Okay, there's no more the knower and known, no more the experiencer and experienced, and so on. The self-evident nature, the swata prakasha, swata siddha being that I am, I shine in all my glory, I am that limitless. Okay, so now this glorious mind, that is our medium, that is an instrument given to us, it can help us see the truth of who we are. Okay, and what am I doing with that mind? That person is very annoying. That person is so selfish, always thinking about herself. Never once extends any help about what needs to be done, what does. So selfish. Okay. So now, this glorious mind that was given for me to discover the truth of who I am. Why? Because I will not stop short of that. Why won't I do that? I am exploring what is it that will give me an experiential sense of oneness. I may not articulate it in that way, but that's really what I'm looking for. And then if I come to Vedanta, then I want to know the truth. I want to know. Okay, good. So then the question is, the various activities we have during the day. Some of my students have done this exercise. Which activity is improving the quality of your life? Maybe all are, maybe some are not. Which activities are improving the quality of your life and the quality of other people's lives? Because if it's not improving the quality of mine and other people's lives, then why would one do it? If my mind is not being used in the right way to know the truth of myself, or to use it as an instrument for my many pursuits, okay, so for my pursuits of artha, security, for kama, for dharma, that dharma is a framework and all my pursuits are under that umbrella, and I enjoy the Shakti that I have. I enjoy that every moment, despite the trauma I have, despite the dosha I have, every moment I have Ichha Shakti. I have the power to desire anything. Oh, it's approaching lunchtime today. Let us have Onam Sadhya. Onam lunch we will have, but I don't know who will give delivery, okay? Home delivery. Anyway, or something else we will find out. Power to desire. You, of course, just one example, you can desire lots of other things. Or definitely we have to find a vaccine for this situation, the COVID situation. The power to act on your desire, Kriya Shakti, that's also given to you. It is not, there is no conjusi has been done. You know, today on a Sunday, you are going to get very little Kriya Shakti. Why? Because Maya Shakti is exhausted, giving you so much Shakti. No. It is vast. The Shakti we all have is vast. So Kriya Shakti, the power to act, the power to do, and of course Jnana Shakti, the power to know. So I have been given all these powers, much like the ant and the cockroach and the scorpion and the snake and the dog, all of them. Everyone has this power. And still, I allow my mind to dwell on somebody's defect. By dwelling on somebody's defect or dosha, what will happen to the phala vyapti? My mind is going to be sullied in that way. Okay. And then in time, I've seen this happen to a lot of activists, become very angry, very bitter, very sad, very disillusioned, very skeptical, very cynical. Oh, we did all this, but look at it, nothing. Nothing's going to change. You can try. And then these people get invited for talks in Institute of Social Work and so on. And then what will they say? Because here you are meant to inspire the young people who have joined social work as a profession, but nothing much to say. So unfortunate that this mind that is a gift to you, a gift to us, it's a vibhuti, it has been used to dwell on someone's defect, so much so that not only are we complaining about it, in time we become that. Okay, and that's what he is highlighted here. Okay, so the reason I want to focus on somebody's defect, it's also called a coping strategy. Okay, it's called downward comparison. Downward comparison means I compare it with people who are worse off than me, and then I feel that, oh, I am pretty good. Okay, but this strategy doesn't work. It doesn't work because we've seen what happens, and there is so much I need to do to improve the shuddhi of the mind. There's a lot that is mentioned in terms of adhikaritvam. So here, how I use my words, what does my mind dwell on? Suppose you get some free time, okay? Suppose, of course, nowadays, even if you call someone, you have to hear COVID message. Earlier, you call customer care, the companies know we all get very bored with ourselves, and therefore let us constantly stimulate these people. So even while you are waiting until the other person comes online, there will be some promo, and then you have to keep waiting because that person is going to come online. So constant stimulation is there. When this constant stimulation is there, if I get some free time and if I sit or stand, whatever, what do I remember, or what kind of thoughts come to me? I have to see this. But for that, I have to be comfortable with sitting with myself. For a lot of us, it's uncomfortable. Why? Because I have to be productive. You see, I have a long list of tasks to be done. If I don't do it, nothing gets done. So I have so much to do. Generally, our thoughts will go to the people we love and then by association some chinta will be there, worry will be there. Oh, are they okay, have they reached here, etc., etc. Or naturally it goes to what you love or what you are worried about. And that same mind, if the person is a mumukshu, can the person start to dwell on the teaching? What the teaching is? How is it that I am Brahman? Is anything in my life opposed to the fact that I am limitless? The doshas that are also there in me and in others, okay? What about it? Or they don't exist. No, we cannot be in denial, okay? So we need to work on it such that they are not an issue anymore in my life. First of all, it took me some great effort to admit that I have the dosha, that vyatha, the suffering that I have gone through in my life. Primarily because I thought it was because of others. Actually, it's got a lot to do with me. So what I dwell on, it creates pathways in our minds, and then therefore what happens, if you pour some water or you have some thoughts, they will all go along the same pathways. We have to create new pathways. That's how all learning happens. So this lovely metaphor given for us to see what we want to do with our mind, really. Okay, the next one. निर्दोष भावमितरस्य सदोष भावं स्वस्यापि संविदधति परदोष धीर्मे आस्तामियं तदितरातु परार्ति मात्र हेतुर्व्यनक्तु न कथं मम तुच्छ भावम् इतरस्य स्वदोष भावम्, seeing and blaming the dosha on others. Swasya nirdosha bhavam, I am so flawless, okay, flawless, I have no problems, nothing, just all this. Actually what it is doing is paradosha dhihi me, it is actually pointing out that there is a problem with me. The problem is centered on me, how I am viewing people, how I am viewing situations, how I have not made my peace with my parents. What do you mean made peace? Of course I meet them and all that. That's true. But the pain that you carry because of what they said or what they did not see, what they did not say, you're still carrying that. It has been more than 40 years. Still? What for? No, but they should have done something different. Okay. But they didn't. So now what? It's all Ishvara's laws. Can I see and be in harmony with that? That they did what they could, and I look at them now as an adult, not as the child. If we keep looking at our parents as little children, then they let us down. Why? Because a child needs support, needs love, needs affection, needs structure. I was not given that. Or you look at your partner, you look at your children, and then you say, oh, I did this, I did that for them. But anyway, it's okay now, it's just an arrangement now. After 15-20 years now, what is left anyway in this life, and so on. Okay. So, people who are cynical, people who are very skeptical, who are very critical, they have become like this. because of focusing on defects. It started out well because a lot of achievers have the critic high in them, that they say, you know what, before the world criticizes me, I will criticize myself and I will excel in what I am doing. And they do a pretty good job at it, okay? But then that pattern was required only for a short time. See, after you are naming and shaming in your mind, okay, what, you couldn't do this much also, come on, now you have to push yourself, da, 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 da. Okay, very good. You managed to achieve certain things. The pattern has served its purpose, now drop it. But I cannot drop it, in fact I'm not even aware. I will push people, why? Because they have to rise to their potential. I push myself, I push everyone to an extreme, okay, to an extreme. It's good to push oneself and others as well, a little bit, but to an extreme such that nobody wants to be around me. Why? Because Hitler has come, or this person will always find fault, and actually the person has some good input to give, but always focused on dosha. So pararti matra hetu, what is the reason why others are affected, for the affliction of others? Because you insist that they are wrong, you are right. Okay, the problem is with myself, it's really not in others. And if I keep this pattern going, look at us, look at ourselves, okay? In our conversations with our family members, not so much with friends, okay? With family members especially, if we do a content analysis, okay, I'm not encouraging you to sit with paper and pen, but do the what are we talking about? It's possible that some of us are trying to correct them, nag them, tell them what to do, or naturally one critical thing comes, what, you have still not finished to do this, you have still not managed to do that, etc., etc. Okay, so we just have to look at ourselves and recognize that this pattern of finding fault and saying that I am a perfect husband, I am a perfect son, I am a perfect daughter, what I'm really revealing is that there is no perfect anything. Only Bhagwan is perfect, because you can't find fault with Bhagwan. Of course people do. Most misunderstood being in this whole world, in the multiverse, is Bhagwan for sure. Of course Bhagwan has no problems at all. So this holier than thou attitude that I have, because I want to feel significant, and I say that okay, once I have figured these people out, A, B, C, D, I'm pointing out your faults, then I can rest easy. Katham vyanaktu, in causing distress to others, it is actually revealing my own pettiness. Mama tuchha bhavam, my low, I won't say low thinking, but how to say it, tuchha, it's unbecoming. It's unbecoming ways of thinking, of relating to others, because I want to know Brahman and I'm finding fault with the whole world. It doesn't go hand in hand at all. Okay, so but what to do? I'm so sharp, all these defects come to me. All these defects are a part of the order. People are the way they are. My husband is the way he is because of so many factors that have contributed to him. His parenting, his education, his influences. Then he went to IIT, IIM, whatever, hostel life. That has played a huge role on his, that has influenced him very deeply. That's exactly the point. He behaves like a bachelor even now. So that's been an influence for him. It will take him some time to change. That I accept what is. Acceptance is that. I see what is. Can I see what is? Functional reality. Okay, we Brahman, thoda, as of now, we're keeping it aside. Functional reality we struggle with, right? Because there are some people, even before they open their mouth, I have already decided they are wrong and I have zoned out, right? Everyone has this experience. And there are some people, no matter what they are saying, some celebrities, some rubbish they'll be talking, but I am lapping every little word that they are saying. Yeah, the person may be a film star. Okay, what does the person know about Vedanta? Has a person been through any sampradaya? No, but whatever the views of this person, everyone wants to know. Everyone. So is the person an expert? No. But I admire and respect the person so much. Anything, everything the person says, I will absorb it. We can see how biased we are, okay? Positively or negatively. So this thing, if I am resting in this satisfaction that okay, other people have to change, I don't have to change, then it is reflecting my own tuchha bhavam. So the karma yoga is in many ways coming to terms with your karma. How I've had an X amount of supportive situations in my life. There have been many supportive people as well. It is my punya. And then there has been a lot of suffering as well. So suffering in the form of lost opportunity. Maybe I didn't get a promotion, or there was a lot of office politics because of which I could not handle it. I was asked to leave. So now, every time I have to prepare for an interview, I don't know how to answer this question, but what happened in your previous job? Because the way I was asked to leave was terrible. No time given for any explanation. And everything was seized from me, and just the notice was given like 15 minutes, that's it. Okay, you have just 15 minutes, take your stuff and leave. We are disabling your email ID, this, that, the other. So the humiliation, and I don't have time to talk to my colleagues with whom I have spent so many years. Very bad. Of course, like how can they even talk about HR and all that? When this basic decency, basic courtesy is not there. Okay. Now it is unfortunate that I had to go through such a situation, but the suffering that I have gone through is my papa. That papa meaning what? Law of karma. So because of the choices I made once upon a time, I am experiencing some suffering, which came in this form. Of course, they contributed to it. We are not absolving them of their responsibility. They, of course, should have handled it better. But it is my papa. And then even some of the doshas that I have tried to do so much about it, they are still there. They are there as samskaras. So, in being objective, if I really want to see the truth of myself, then there is no escaping the work one has to do on oneself, which is this work of coming to terms that this life was this kind of combination of punya papa. And much like the game of snakes and ladders, Punya or papa is not linear. Okay, you are going, step by step in the journey of life. Suddenly you get one ladder. Wow, what an opportunity. You leaped a few steps forward, ladder. Wow. And then you are, exulting in your success and the great joy and everything. And one snake is lurking around. And then, of course, you get bitten by the snake, gone. So you're thinking, what is this? Is this life? Few steps forward, few steps backward. I don't feel like I'm making any progress. Anything can happen anytime. So we have heard enough instances of people who live very healthy lives, very healthy lifestyle. Suddenly, there is a heart attack in 30s. And then there are some pan chewing people, even at 90 they are going strong. How do you explain it? It's so unfair. Seems unfair. Of course, until one comes to the law of karma. See, in psychology, we can manage somehow, but why did this happen to me? Psychology has no answer for it. Only the law of karma has an answer for it. And for me to see that whatever be the defects that I have, it has been my background that contributed to it. And the choices that I make now will of course contribute to the reduction of the doshas, or rather the focus on all the wonderful qualities that others have and even I have. Okay, but about that he has something to say. Padmadi saurabha iva brahmarasya harsham hitvanyadiya sugune punaranyatoshe harsho durartha iva geha kite kimaste hame kadesha kripaya vigaletsa eshaha. He gives one more very beautiful metaphor. So this Brahmara is a bee, okay, B-E-E. With one of my batchmates, because because people cannot pronounce Brahma Pragnananda, and I would rather that they don't massacre the name because given by Pujya Swamiji. So I say, okay, I'm Swamini B. So he will joke, okay, so the bee is buzzing around. And I said, no, I am B-E-B. No, you are buzzing around. Anyway, so this bee, what does the bee delight in? On Padmadi Saurabha, the fragrance of the lotus and other flowers, and can keep moving from flower to flower. Why? Because of the nectar. So the bee, if you study the bee or whatever little we know, the bee never sits on anything that is dirty. It only goes to flowers. And so Brahmarasya harsham, very happy, going from one flower to another and so on and so forth. Anyadiya suguneshu harsham. So similarly, when I am in touch with different people who are like lotuses, they may be called Padma and so on, what do? I only focus on what is beautiful about them. But then someone will say, what? There's nothing nice about them. No. So what should you do? Hitva, you please probe. Please probe, think. There has to be something nice about this person. And then he has contrasted the bee with Geha Kite. Okay, Geha Kite means what? Is a male pig. What does the male pig do? Even if you were to give a bath, okay, to this pig, what will it do? Anya doshe harshe. So this male pig is going to go and move around and revel in the dirt. Nothing happens to the dirt. Okay, the dirt remains dirt or remains dirty. But the pig, what happens to the pig? The pig of course becomes dirty. The dirt is not affected. Okay, and the pig wants to go there. Why? That's how it is. So for some people, other people's defects, I want to, जैसे कहते हैं ना, कुरेदना. There might be a wound there, but I will just, because I enjoy reveling in other people's defects and wounds. And that's what he's saying. In fact, he's lamenting to Shiva, Durarthan, Anya doshe harsham, ha me, when will all this go? By your kripaya, vigaletsa isha, that by your grace, this, I don't want to be like the male pig. I don't want to dwell on people's weaknesses. I would rather be like the BEE, who can really enjoy other people, who can enjoy their wonderful qualities, who is not threatened or doesn't immediately become jealous because of why or how someone is doing. In fact, the easiest way to be happy, the cheapest way to be happy also, is to be happy for others. You see other people doing well, you may or may not need to do well, okay? They are doing well, wow! And then you ask somebody else, so how are you doing? And then, how has this week been? How has this year been? And then they talk about what they have achieved, what they've managed to do, the people they've managed to connect, the change they have been able to make. Wow! Lovely. So easy and so cheap. Cheap in terms of inexpensive way to be happy, because this one is happy, that one is happy. But I can only find happiness in only my children's happiness. Why? They are mine. That's one. Other people, I get uncomfortable. I don't want to hear anymore. I will say, they're just showing off. Or it makes me feel that I am less. In hearing their glories, I feel diminished, or I feel jealous. I don't want to hear. I change the topic. Okay. So this is what he's suggesting, that you could well be inspired by how they are, by their wonderful qualities. Duryodhana, he had fantastic role models in the sense of the Pandavas. Okay, there's not much that we can say about, being raised by parents who cannot see you. Very sad. So, how will the child get any kind of validation or even any correction? Father cannot see. Mother could have said that I will be your eyes, I will be there. But she also went along, in some misplaced sense of togetherness. I can see, but I don't want to see. 100 children are growing up without parental care. There is, of course, there's some care. I'm not saying there's no care at all. But seeing a child, appreciating the child, how much it matters to the child. And for a lot of us, we are also little children. Okay, we may be hulks, okay, big adults, but there is an inner child. Inner child meaning that part of us which wants validation, which wants affection, which gets easily hurt, which feels helpless. At the same time, the child is also the source of a lot of creativity and play, enjoys playing. So this, if the the inner child, it's a psychological term, not that there is one distinct entity or such, but it's almost like that. This inner child, if the inner child is not integrated with the adult, you will just find that you feel hurt at the drop of a hat, or you're getting angry for no reason. The other people wonder what happened, but you say, no, yeah, this is not acceptable, that is not acceptable, everything is not acceptable. So this repetitive patterns that we have, reactions that we have, they have to do with the inner child. And that's why we are not able to openly appreciate. Everyone feels they are not appreciated enough. But the question is, how many do you appreciate? Right? How many people do you appreciate? You just take one full day, you just take yesterday, okay? In the content of your conversation with so many people, or whatever, 4 or 5 people at least, how much praise, how much appreciation was there? If it is not, no, it is all in my heart. Let it be in your heart, let it also come to your mouth. What is there? I have been married to this person for so long. उसमें अभी क्या बोलने का? No, in fact, इसके लिए अभी बोलने का. You cannot take anyone for granted. Okay? So if I am not able to just appreciate, is not one earth-shattering event, then I am not able to find anything to say to you that is wonderful about you, or that was wonderful about what we did today, then there is something wrong with me. Why? Because I am obviously dwelling on something else. Whatever I am dwelling on, I will talk about it. Correct? If all I am dwelling on is one to-do list, did you do this? Did you not do this? I didn't do it. You should have done it. Why did you not do it? Etc. etc. So, Dosha Parihara Ashtakam is encouraging us that if you really want to see all that is here is Ishvara, all that is here is Brahman, all that is here is you, then can you do Guna Darshanam? Not only Guna Darshanam, but it has to come through your Vak as well. Can words tumble out of your mouth? And can you drop the excuse that, if I praise this person, that person will sit on chane ka jhad, okay, or something like that. We have our reasons. So this Guna Darshanam is a very important quality to cultivate. We don't need to worry too much about the Dosha Darshanam if we have enough Guna Darshanam, because then we are not dwelling on the person's defect. Otherwise, in the name of learning Vedanta, I actually want to change my family. Or Vedanta is all about how I can adjust to the great difficulties of life. So Vedanta is for so much more, So therefore this introspective look at oneself, and then whatever one needs to do, you can figure it out. Okay, Ayyaval is very clear about what needs to be done. We'll stop. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.